From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
IU Bloomington takes a big step to stop an alarming rise in COVID-19 cases among Greek houses near campus. Thank you for joining us at 7. I'm Amanda Starrentino. The school has ordered 8 Greek houses to quarantine for 14 days. This comes after COVID-19 testing detected an increase in positive cases among fraternities and sororities. The university has directed all houses to suspend in-person activities other than dining and housing for live-in members. University officials say it's hard to tell how the students contracted the virus, whether on campus or outside IU. Right now, there's only a 1% positivity rate for the entire student body, but the Greek house cases are driving a significant amount of the overall numbers.
This is a particular problem with those particular housing units because they are smaller, they do have a more concentrated population, and it is frankly something that we were concerned about from the very beginning.
In-person organizational activities are suspended until at least September 14th, and from here on out, the university will be conducting mitigation testing at random. The State Health Department reports 11 more coronavirus deaths. 3,058 Hoosiers have now died from the coronavirus. More than 91,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 1 million people have been tested in Indiana, with 8.7% testing positive. 2 more Indianapolis businesses announced they'll be closing their doors for good due to the pandemic. The owner of Rook and Black Market says the last day for the restaurants will be September 5th. By our count, 25 businesses since March have or will soon close due to COVID-19. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum explains what challenges the owner faced and what people downtown have to say about it.
Black Market here at the end of Mass Ave is one of the latest restaurants to announce they'll be closing their doors for good. The owner here saying the economic impact of the pandemic was too much to overcome. In just over a week, you'll see a lot more of this. Locked doors and people peering inside. Rook on Virginia Avenue and Black Market on Mass Ave, now both in their final days of operation.
It's really sad. I'm a big fan of the food and the culinary scene down here in the neighborhood.
People we spoke with downtown today say they've been trying to support local businesses like these.
I haven't really sat down to eat anywhere, but I've done a lot of carry out from some of the places that I frequented a lot before the pandemic.
We love going, especially down to Black Market. We've been there a lot of times. They have great back patio. That pergola is awesome. They always have really great food and drinks.
In a Facebook post, the owner at Rudicel said the federal payroll protection loans were not a good fit for the restaurant industry. He also said insurance companies were refusing to pay the costs incurred when restaurants were shut down because of the pandemic. All of this ultimately leading to their closure.
It's really unfortunate. A lot of the businesses and things like that we're all used to supporting, and people that we're used to seeing that we're not seeing as much anymore.
People downtown say they hope this is not the start of a larger trend.
If that is the trend, I would certainly be really sad to see it. That's one of my favorite things about Indianapolis is the good local restaurants and food.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
We have a full list of businesses that have closed due to the pandemic posted on our website at WRTV.com. Kevin.
And after some afternoon downpours, we are dry now in central Indiana. There's your headline for later tonight. I think after midnight, our chance for thunderstorms will increase again, first in northwest Indiana. They'll drop to the south and east from there. You see some fading areas of rain from Bloomington to Nashville. We'll kind of get a closer look at that over the last hour or so. Those have all but disappeared. That doesn't mean we won't see an isolated downpour between now and midnight, but I think they'll be few and far between. And temperatures in this steamy air are still right around 80 degrees, if not above in spots. Indy's at 84 now. That's a rain-cooled 78 in Kokomo. You've had rain more recently. Bloomington's cooler as well because of the showers that I just showed you. They've faded away, but definitely cooled the atmosphere. Temperatures tonight for high school football combined with the humidity make it very uncomfortable for the players, but it will be dry. Temperatures as we approach the midnight hour will be back into the low 70s at that point. I'll talk about the highlight of the weekend coming up and the trend for next week as well.
Indigo says it is decluttering to meet the needs of Hoosiers who both ride and share the road with its buses. Nearly 550 bus stops in Indy will be impacted by this new plan. Most of those stops are being balanced because some stops are too close together on a number of streets. Indigo says these short distances means buses and other traffic are constantly stopping.
I mean, imagine as a motorist, if you're driving, if you had to stop at a red light every single block, it would take you a long time to get where you're trying to go. And that's what we're trying to remedy with this project, is to just space those stops out enough that it improves our on-time performance, our efficiency, and makes the experience better for our riders.
Which stops stay and which stops go depend on what's nearby, like schools and hospitals and ridership numbers. Stickers will soon be added to stops that will be impacted, and Indigo says in most cases the change will only create a slightly longer walk to the bus stop. You can find out more about the bus stops that are impacted with an interactive map you can find at WRTV.com. Indianapolis is working its way back as community leaders are focusing on revitalization with new funds made available. WRTV's Cornelia Hawker is sharing one woman's perspective. She hopes those leaders don't forget about those who are in the most need of help.
What's the best way to help those experiencing homelessness? I asked that question to Lily Spencer, a housing advocate for Coburn Place.
As straightforward as it sounds, money. The most impactful resources I see coming through are the dollars.
Through her work, Lily spends time with those who need help the most and knows there are systems in place. They just need more financial backing.
We have a great continuum of care in Indianapolis where there are a lot of organizations that work together.
While the city, working with organizations and community members, makes plans to spend millions of dollars to put people up in housing for extended amounts of time, Lily hopes they also focus on helping people with immediate needs.
Money can help someone who just needs that pick-me-up before all of a sudden they have an eviction, and eviction follows you for years and years and years.
If people facing an eviction can't find help, it could lead to more individuals having to live on the streets, according to Lily.
You know, once you have an eviction, you're lucky to find somewhere that's okay with evictions within the past couple of years.
Lily knows homelessness is not something that's going to be fixed overnight, but she tells me a good start would be for those hoping to come up with solutions to work with people who are already putting in the work to help those in need.
We have a lot of organizations in Marion County and a lot of really dedicated individuals who have been working with these folks and sometimes literally working with these individuals for years. And they really are going to know what's best.
Working for you, Cornelia Hawker, WRTV.
And this week, during an update on safety in downtown Indianapolis, Mayor Hogsett cited the city's work to help those experiencing homelessness since the pandemic began. In July, the city gave $2.7 million in federal coronavirus money to 7 Indianapolis organizations helping to battle homelessness. More money is expected to be given out in the coming weeks and months. And on Monday, IPS will have even more student support network sites open to help with remote learning. IPS has begun the school year with 100% remote learning for all district students. The hope is that kids will be able to return to in-person learning by October 2nd. The support sites offer a safe and structured place for IPS students to attend when families need a supervised environment for their children during remote learning. On Monday, the YMCA will open a student support site at Carl Wild School 79 on West 34th Street. And the organization at your school will open up support centers at Robert Lee Frost School 106 on Roxbury Road and Broad Ripple High School on Broad Ripple Avenue. IPS parents and guardians will need to register their students in advance and arrange for transportation to and from the Student Support Network site they attend. Lives lost to drug overdose will be honored during an International Awareness Day event Sunday. The event at the Indiana State Museum is just one of several taking place all across the world. There's been an increase in overdoses here in Indiana during the COVID-19 pandemic, and organizers say this event will be for people who've lost someone to an overdose to not feel so alone.
Really, the whole purpose behind Overdose Awareness Day is to remember people that we've lost. When you lose someone, especially to this stigmatized cause of death, it's very devastating and hard to talk about, and you feel alone and there's some shame involved. And so the purpose of this day really is to raise up those that we've lost and remember them and give them importance and value for the life that they lived, not their cause of death.
Families and friends can also write the names of loved ones they've lost to an overdose on these blank ribbons outside the Overdose Lifeline offices. We have more info on this in Sunday's event on WRTV.com and the WRTV app. The conventions have wrapped up for the Democrats and the Republicans. Now it's time to get down to the real business of winning the White House. Ahead, what we can expect as the countdown to the election kicks into high gear.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Now that the conventions are over, what can you expect in terms of campaigning? Will any in-person events resume? Or will this be a campaign full of text messages and Facebook ads? Our Joe St. George has a look at what you'll see whether you're into politics or not.
God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all she wrote.
This is a battle we will win, and we'll do it together.
For this year's political conventions, and as we wait to see if any candidate got a post-convention bounce with polling, you may wonder what happens next. Well, the next big date on the political calendar is September 29th. That's the first presidential debate. In the meantime, though, don't expect anything to return to normal on the campaign trail. Large-scale rallies won't be taking place anytime soon.
But the one thing I can guarantee you is that the president and the vice president will continue to travel to these states.
But as President Trump and Vice President Pence's top aide, Mark Lauder, tells us, that doesn't mean no traveling. The Trump campaign will continue to do quick airport stops in swing states like President Trump is doing today in New Hampshire. And we have learned the president wants more in-person visits to popular businesses in towns like diners. As for the Biden campaign,
we are keeping our supporters, our staff safe, but we are still getting the vice president's message out to voters.
Biden senior staffer TJ Ducklow has said for weeks Democrats remain committed to virtual campaigning. Although at a fundraiser last night, Joe Biden says he's looking to start traveling again to swing states post-Labor Day for health department approved events. So what does this all mean? Well, as the pandemic and election continues, both parties say expect an increase in text messages, political phone calls, email invites to virtual speeches, and yes, more digital ads on your Facebook feed. After all, campaigns need to reach you somehow. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
And it's calm in central Indiana now, which means we don't have much in the way of shower or thunderstorm activity. This cold front may change things later tonight. I'll define later coming up.
Giving babies dignity in death, a local organization called He Knows Your Name Ministries gives babies abandoned by their parents a proper burial. They held a burial service for 5 babies that were born more than 20 weeks ago and left at hospitals or at the Marion County Coroner's Office. Hospitals try at length to reach parents or family members. If unsuccessful after a certain point, they reach out to He Knows Your Name. The babies who were buried today were given names before they were laid to rest. He Knows Your Name is rooted in the conviction that every life is sacred to God and that naming children matters deeply. Doctors say flu vaccines will be critical to reduce confusion about whether you're experiencing flu or COVID-19 symptoms if you get sick in the coming months. Scripps reporter Michelle Caseta explains why doctors say getting your flu shot now is essential this year.
A stuffy or runny nose, cough, fever, difficulty breathing, those all sound like COVID-19 symptoms, right? Well, they're also flu symptoms, and this year, doctors say the best way to rule out the flu if you're sick is to get vaccinated. Vaccines are already available for the flu season, which typically peaks in October and November and runs through March of next year.
It is more important this year because it's complicated by the presence of the coronavirus.
The symptoms are very similar, though Chief of Staff at Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center, Dr. Shady Salib, says the one difference is that COVID gives higher fevers and you can experience change in or loss of taste or smell. He says getting the flu vaccine will help doctors better assess the patients and potentially rule out the flu.
Imagine we get a patient, we don't know if it's corona infection or COVID infection, or the flu, and it turns out the patient has both. This can be catastrophic in many patients, especially older population.
Now remember, you can still get the flu even with the vaccine, but Dr. Salib says typically the symptoms are less severe. He says getting the flu shot early will still protect you for the entire season.
Well, the headlines as we roll into the weekend, the changes are coming. We just need to be patient. I'm hitting pretty hard that the humidity drops for the weekend, but the first half of Saturday will still be quite humid. When the wind comes out of the northwest later in the day, that'll start the process, which leads to temperatures on Sunday morning refreshingly cool. We'll repeat that on Monday as well. Those are the 2 coolest mornings within the 7-day planner. Our daily chance for some thunderstorms returns next week. That may be good news for you. Many yards pretty brown and crispy at this point. We could definitely use the rain. We don't have rain on the horizon, at least in the next few hours. I want to show you the glancing influence of the remnants from Hurricane Laura, centered down in Kentucky and Tennessee. That does stretch just north of the Ohio River, and this spin will continue to slide to the east. So as that exits the picture, this becomes more of a story tonight. And notice these bright white clouds. That's the explosion of these developing thunderstorms. I think we'll get a line of storms here that will come together and roll to the south and east. That will increase our chance for thunderstorms after midnight. Lafayette, Peru, Logansport, Monticello, the most likely to see the line of storms first. We'll see if it can hold together. There are indications it will continue to lose strength as it comes through the state, but few of these may be strong. 84, that's temperature in Indy right now. Lafayette's at 86, Bloomington at 80. There's your marginal or low risk for severe storms central and south. As you go north, because of that line that I just showed you, some of the storms may maintain their strength long enough that damaging wind would be a threat as the line of storms arrives. The overnight forecast here, as we go through the hours, you see that line dropping to the south and east, holds together best in the northern portion of Indiana into lower Michigan with the damaging wind threat. That happens to be 2 o'clock in the morning, then loses steam as it slides to the south and east. 71 the overnight temperature, so it'll be quite different from tomorrow morning to Sunday morning. Storm Shield app, don't forget it on nights when we have some storms, and if you want to be alerted overnight if a warning is issued, it acts as a weather radio and it is free. Temperatures during the weekend, coolest on Sunday and Monday. That's when the humidity will also kind of be at its lowest point. We'll start to see the humidity climb as we get into early next week. Temperatures on Sunday combined with the low humidity, lots of sunshine that make that the most enjoyable day of the weekend. The wind tomorrow, we'll call it breezy, 10 to 20 miles per hour out of the north-northwest. There's your chance for rain. Notice it's not 0, but the chance just 20%. As you look at your 7-day planner, temperatures most comfortable in the morning, Sunday and Monday. And as we go beyond next week, daily chance for some showers and thunderstorms, but it is a low chance for thunderstorms. We'll be right back.
Instacart finds itself facing some serious allegations. The Attorney General in Washington, D.C. filed a lawsuit against the company over so-called service fees added to every order. The lawsuit states many customers believe this was a tip for the driver, but turned out to be extra income for the company. The lawsuit shows no additional money went to workers. Instacart responded to the lawsuit by saying the accusations are without merit. I'm sure you've heard there's an app for that. Well, now there's a new app to help you keep track of any recalls on your car. It comes from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. It's called Safer Car and works by entering your vehicle's VIN number. It also applies to car seats, trailers, and tires. You'll get an alert when there's a recall that's relevant to you. The app is free to use. The thought of flying cars is one step closer to becoming a reality. Japanese company SkyDrive carried out a successful test of their flying car model with a person on board. The flying car hovered a few feet off the ground for about 4 minutes. The company says the car can only fly for 5 to 10 minutes, and right now says the goal is 30 minutes to increase its potential. SkyDrive hopes to have a model available by 2023. Could you imagine that, Kevin?
I like your name, SkyDrive. We'll drive temperatures into the 80s again tomorrow, 83. That will be more comfortable on Sunday, 79. Of course, join us during the late news. We'll have the latest update on the timing of potential overnight storms. Amanda?
And then we're just going to fly on into the weekend. Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. We'll see you at 11.